Would you like to find out how we use line in the design of our homes? Well, stay tuned to find out more. Hi everyone, it's Carol from Discover Interior Design, and I'm so glad you're here. In this video, we're going to be talking about the design element of line. So when we're talking about the design elements, we are referring to all those components that we use to create a great design. Other design elements would include color or light or even shape. And line is one of the cool design elements that helps us to create movement, and it leads our eye in a certain direction. And depending on, how that line is arranged or placed, it will create a different look and feel. And so, for instance, we can just start out with a sofa against a wall and put in different types of lines, different directions of lines in the background, and kind of just take a look at how that looks and feels. And if we start out with a horizontal line, and we're kind of talking about stripes, and which is just, a repetition of a line. And if we have horizontal lines, horizontal stripes placed on that wall, well, horizontal lines in general kind of give us a restful and calm feeling. And the other thing that's happening here too is that those horizontal lines are kind of repeating the horizontal lines of that sofa. So using line is a way to accentuate or even tone down, some other type of line that's happening in a room. And then if we place vertical lines in the background, well, we have a different look and feel already. Vertical lines can be a little bit more formal, or maybe just leading our eye kind of away from that horizontal line of the sofa. And then if we use diagonal lines, that's one of the lines that creates the most action, the most movement, because it's very dynamic. And so if we ever want something to look like it has the most movement happening in it, diagonal lines are the way to do it. And if we use curved lines, curvilinear lines in the background, well, depending on, how dynamic maybe those curved lines are, we can create, a very gentle look and feel, or something that has a little bit more energy to it. So if we look at some examples in our homes where we can see curvilinear lines, we can see, a wall that has a very curvilinear shape along with the shelves, or even this rounded nook where, the table and even the feature in the ceiling and even the flooring, everything's kind of replicating that curvilinear shape. And even this lamp, we could say, has a curvilinear contour, the outlining of that lamp. And even this area rug has gentle, sweeping, curvilinear lines. And then inside our homes, we could find diagonal lines. It's kind of interesting, this marble that's in the bathroom, the way it's laid out, the way that the marble is installed, it has accentuated the lines in a diagonal way, which is very, very interesting, both on the flooring and up on the tub and into the wall. And then even if you have, say, a sloped ceiling with beams, those are diagonal lines, and these are very prominent because there is a contrast between, the beam color and the rest of the ceiling color. So, you notice those diagonal lines right away. And even, the diagonal lines of this almost tripod design of a floor lamp. And then, taking a look at vertical and horizontal lines in our homes, we could be in a kitchen where, the countertop has very horizontal lines, but then, some of the cabinetry, or even in this example, the cabinet pulls have very vertical lines. Or even this beautiful console table has both, horizontal and vertical lines. And this sofa is very horizontal, very low to the floor and very horizontal. And then this room has a very horizontal overall look to it, the very horizontal windows, row of windows, but then those are broken up with the vertical lines as well in the mullions. And the sofas are very horizontal. And then it's interesting to even look at the fireplace where, it's a taller feature, a very vertical feature, but then the way they installed the stone, it's laid out in a very horizontal manner. And then, of course, the mantle breaks it up even more so that, that very vertical piece is not all just vertical. It's kind of broken up. So it kind of brings it back into the room, and so we can relate to it a little bit more. And then, realistically, our rooms have a variety of lines happening in them. So it's just kind of fun to notice that. And then we can use line in a couple different ways. One way is to either accentuate other lines that are happening in the room, other directions of lines that are happening in the room, or to kind of tone them down. And we can use line in both, subtle ways, but also in more, heavy visual weight ways. So when we're talking about a room where, maybe it has higher ceilings and we kind of want to break it up a little bit, that's where, wainscoting in a room is a useful way of adding a horizontal line in the room. So it kind of breaks up different verticalness in that room. Or even in, say, a kitchen where we have very horizontal lines happening in that kitchen. It's very, horizontal and very contemporary looking. We can use vertical lines of the wood grain on the cabinets to kind of break that up a little bit. We can even just, decide we want to have very horizontal look to a room, and that's where we can place the tile in the room in a horizontal fashion in arrangement so that everything is just very horizontal and very calming. And then, we can accentuate, the verticalness of a room by having vertical type paneling in this very high room, and even the draperies, create that line, that very vertical line, so that we really notice the height of that room. Or on the opposite side of that, maybe we even put a horizontal stripe on a very high drapery that's in this room to kind of break it up and to not have that room feel too high, just to kind of break up that verticalness of the room. And then we can decide if we want the lines in a room to be very strong visually or to be more subtle. So even in a room where we have exposed ceiling beams, we can decide if we just want them all to kind of be the same and all, go away in a subtle way. Or we can accentuate them by, staining or painting those beams so that we notice them right away and they have much more stronger visual weight. And then another way to think about line in our homes is where we use it almost as an outline. And that's where we're working with contrast. And it could be just something we're not maybe noticing right away. It could be an area rug. The edges of that area rug, the line, the outline of that area rug defines an area. Or even wall tile. If we use dark grout on, say, a white tile, the outlining, of that grout around the tile, we're going to notice that tile more and it's going to draw more attention to it. Or even when we put piping around the edges of a sofa or around the edges of a throw pillow, we're outlining, that shape a little bit more. And in some ways we can even say, right, it's defining the contours, the overall shape, the outline of those elements a little bit more. So what are some things to keep in mind when we're using line in our homes? Well, a couple things to think of is that, line's about movement, and it's about taking us in a certain direction. And so in a room, do you want to accentuate the direction of a room, keeping in a horizontal room that's kind of lower and horizontal, playing on that and playing that up a little bit? Or do you want to kind of tone it down by, bringing in some vertical lines? Or, livening up a space by bringing in some diagonal lines or a mix of type of lines. So think about, how you want that to look and feel. And, using it in a subtle way or using it in a more, visual heavy way where, it just draws more attention. Just thinking about, it's a little detail, but it's an important detail to help create the look and feel that you want in your place. And then, the important thing too is just to always think about all those things and how, line works and all the attributes that it has. But then, to come in and add your style and break things up and change things up and break the rules, and to make sure that you always, make sure that your rooms, your home reflects who you are. So I'd love to hear in the comments how you use line in your homes, how you use it to help accentuate things or how to change things up. So share your design ideas in the comments. And if you're interested, at the end of this video, I'm going to have a little design exercise to dive deeper into this design element of line. So stay tuned if you'd like to check that out. And thanks so much for watching, and please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. So in this design exercise, I have two parts for you, and you can do both or just one. And the first one is just to hang out in one of your rooms. Let's just say your kitchen, for instance, and just to notice the overall lines that are happening in that room. Is that room a tall room? And so that means maybe there's a lot of vertical lines going on. But then when you come in with your cabinetry and your countertops, that probably helps break up that room a little bit. And naturally, if you think about it, our countertops kind of have a lot of horizontal lines going on. But then you have different types of cabinetry that provide some verticalness. And maybe you even have some wood grains in your cabinets. Are they vertical or horizontal? Even look at your refrigerator. That has a very vertical, look to it. And what about your flooring? Do you have wood flooring? And is that, adding to the horizontal or vertical look to your room? Or do you have diagonal wood flooring that kind of breaks everything up and makes everything have more movement? Just take note of all of the different things that are happening in one of your rooms. And then the other part is just to go outside and look at your home, whether it's an apartment building or a freestanding home. Look at it and what's the overall, line to that building? Is it very vertical or is it very horizontal? And is there a mix of different lines going on in there? If you have a very horizontal ranch style home, I bet if you have shutters on it, that adds some vertical lines to the home. It kind of breaks it up a little bit. So just take note of that. Look at your roof line. That's a good way to see, is my home, very horizontal, or is it kind of broken up with some diagonal lines or some vertical lines. So just have some fun noticing those things. So after doing these exercises, share what you discovered in the comments. And then just have some fun noticing line throughout your day wherever you are.